Hey everyone, this is Vincent Nguyen for SlashGear TV. This is episode 2. I have with me to the left here is Ann Pickerel. Unfortunately, Ashley and Bree are no longer with us, so moving forward, Ann will be my co-host for the SlashGear TV Weekend Review.
Hello everyone.
So this week we've got a number of things to go over. We're going to talk about some of the things that you and I got to play with. We'll cover some gaming stuff on SlashGear. And we'll kick in with some new desktop, ultra mobile PC and whatnot, and talk about some mobile phone carrier news that's coming out, and wrap it up with the iPhone news, especially the launch coming up. All right. So what you got to show us today?
All right. Well, our first unboxing was of this lovely Sony Ericsson MBS 100 speaker. It's designed to work with their Walkman phones. And it uses Bluetooth A2DP enabled to transmit
Music.
and stream music wireless.
What was your experience with it?
This is very nifty looking. I don't know if you can see this little Swiss cheese motif that we have going on here. It looks cool, and it was extremely easy to set up with the LG Dare phone, which is how we tested it. Unfortunately, the sound quality is less than ideal, and the volume at the max with the phone still wasn't able to, drown out running water or fill a room or anything like that. So,
do you think it was LG's Dare's fault?
It could have been, but I think that if there had been a capability of turning the volume up anymore, it would have only decreased the quality of sound.
This does not have an external volume button at all?
No, it does not. You have to control it entirely through the media player in your phone. So at $70, it looks nifty, and I think it would be great for an office or some other, not really a dorm room. I don't think so, because I think with the Echo, I tried some songs that had some bass, and unless you're playing some classical Bach or something, I think that you would hear so much popping and that humming sound. I just
so out of five gear, how many would you give it?
I would give it a 3. Incredibly portable. 3 stars, 8 ounces, 4x4, incredibly portable, kind of nifty looking.
Would you buy one?
I would buy one if it was less expensive. $70 is pretty
expensive.
Maybe 30. I don't know. I think it would be a conversational piece right here. So
speaking of streaming music, didn't we get something else in that you weren't too fond of?
We also got the Eye2Eye Stream, this nifty little setup here. We were sent a 2-pack. You need to have one, and your wherever you're streaming to, the person or the player that you're streaming to has to have the other. This was a fairly expensive little gadget, $120 for your 2-pack here. You work it by
$120.
It was $120 regular and $100 introductory. So $120.
You can
it's
buy
a little expensive.
An MP3 player.
Yeah, you pretty much could. So the idea here is that you should be able to stream music to anyone that has another one of these using one of the 7 channels that they have. You put your headphones in the top. It comes with a couple different cord lengths to connect to your MP3 player. And I think the verdict on this is that, as it's intended, to walk up to someone and find their channel and listen to whatever they're listening to, this is too expensive, too large, too cumbersome to be really useful. But if you're at home and you're trying to stream music to your CD player or another media player across the room, you could certainly use this.
It sounds like an expensive solution to me, because there are a cheaper solution to get your MP3 player or your iPod or whatever to stream music to your stereo.
Right.
But at $120 for that.
At $120, once you add that to the cost of your MP3 player, you might as well just upgrade to something else.
And you didn't care about the
I didn't care
right?
for the fact that it makes a clear sound when you're walking. So as you walk down the street with this dangling so stylishly,
and for me in this
rattles.
And for me in this day and age, I mean, you've got something this sexy.
Yeah, this is not very thin. This is almost twice the width.
It oozes nerd.
I think it just looks cheap.
Exactly.
But it's an interesting idea, and they're looking for solutions to someone who doesn't have the same media player that they have. So that would probably be even fewer stars than our nifty little speaker box over there. Interesting idea, just doesn't quite come through.
And you had some opportunity to play with the Dare, and I've had some time to play with it, and
I was able to pair it with the speaker easily. Simple, quick.
For those of you who aren't aware, we did get the LG Dare in. It's on Verizon. We were reviewing it this week, and I absolutely love this phone because it's the closest thing. Actually, it's one of the best phones I believe LG made, at least for the U.S. market. It's got a beautiful, large, all touch screen. It's got a 3.2 megapixel camera. It's got this I think it's PixSmart, where it does all the back-end processing of your image, and it does its best to make the image as best as possible.
And it has the face recognition.
It has the panorama views, and it's pretty responsive to use. It's got a great GPS, quick startup time to fix your location. The one thing that I wasn't happy, and I made pretty clear to Verizon and LG that for something this beautiful and it's got such a large screen, it doesn't have Verizon TV.
Oh.
And that's the one thing that the Instinct has that I really love. Because sometimes when I'm traveling, I'm sitting at the airport or waiting at the Starbucks or something, I can pull up TV, mobile TV, and watch the news or whatever.
Right.
So, what was your take on it?
I really only used it to deal with this speaker, to test it, and I thought that the fact that the volume wouldn't go up very high was unusual.
On the phone or on
the phone? I plugged it in some headphones and tried to crank the volume up. Either I have slowly gone deaf, and maybe it's a lot louder than I think.
You're too young to be going deaf.
Or
I should be the one that's going deaf.
Oh, I don't know. I know. Well, so I really couldn't get it up to a level that, say, an iPod could go up to.
Okay, we'll definitely put that to test.
Doesn't go very high.
And the other thing I do want to touch base on is the web browser. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I did.
I
was able to use that, did some Googling, tried to sign into an email server, but the cookies were not enabled, so it couldn't do that.
That's odd. I have to look into that.
So I just sitting at wherever I was, I couldn't figure out how to enable cookies, but I'm sure that there is a way in the manual. It was quick though, easy to type in, could search.
I thought the voice call was pretty good too.
I
mean, I didn't have any problems hearing the other person on the line, and they'd never say anything about static or anything like that.
Right.
Reception's always good because we know how Verizon they do tons of tests around the country to make sure.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I like to switch gear, and I mean Scott Barr is one of our gaming resident editor on SlashGear, and he had an opportunity to test out the what was it, Guitar Hero on tour?
On tour, the portable version for Nintendo DS.
If I remember correctly, he mentioned that the gear snapped in pretty easily, but it kind of comes off, right?
Well, he just had so many problems with his hands cramping.
He's like, the only problem is my hands are too big, and his hands aren't that big.
His hands aren't even that big.
Right?
The rigors of being on tour.
Exactly, poor guy. And I think the other thing he was having problems with were the notes. It kept disappearing on him, right?
Yes, he was having problems with the multiple strumming. It wasn't picking up when he went back and forth. He was missing whole sections.
He was pretty disappointed, I think, overall.
Yeah, he said that it took only 20 minutes for his hands to cramp at the same level that it usually takes him 5 or 6 hours to on regular Guitar Hero.
Who could play Guitar Hero for 5 or 6 hours at a time? That's kind of crazy. Yes, Scott, get back to work.
Scott can.
But overall, he did give it 3 out of 5 gears, which is kind of interesting for.
Yeah.
He must have really.
If your hands are cramping when you're playing a game,
20 minutes.
That really doesn't. It doesn't matter how great the game is.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed the song selection though.
Yes.
So they did well in selecting their variety of music, and he was a big fan of that. But if a game makes you hurt, it's usually not a good sign.
So while we're on gaming, let's switch gear to SlashGear games. Gaming, we've got a big selection on SlashGear, as you may already know. You heard about the PlayStation 3 firmware?
Yes.
That's kind of a big boo-boo for Sony.
Causing some serious problems.
The bricking issue is back, and this time it's for the console. So basically, any one of you out there who did or plan on doing the upgrade to 2.4 firmware, first of all,
it's been pulled off.
It's been pulled off, so you can't do it anymore.
Can't crash your
So what? Did you read up on the solution? It's kind of ridiculous.
Solutions: you have to pull out the hard drive, put it into a PC,
format it, and then stick it back in. You're going to lose everything if you don't have it backed up, which to me is kind of, you know,
for what should be a solution to a problem, for it to cause an entirely new and much more.
And what's really interesting is the folks that really want to install this firmware are really looking forward to the whole XMB, which, I mean, the in-game XMB, which was absent this whole time, and now they're kind of screwed altogether.
Roundly. So don't worry, you can't. If you wanted to install that, you can no longer do that. And they're working on isolating that problem.
So what else in the gaming?
Well, we've heard a little rumor that Xbox 360 is cutting their prices.
But this is good news, though.
Cutting their prices ahead of the 60 gigabyte E3, which might be coming out soon.
I think they're hurting. That's probably one of the two reasons why they might be considered dropping the price.
People's disposable income is getting a little smaller, so you might have to pick up some sales by cutting the price a little bit.
Right.
But, still a rumor.
I know Scott sent in another piece he wanted us to talk about. Isn't it the Rock Band 2 announcement?
Right. Yes.
What did he say? He was the first two concerns he had. The first two questions he asked.
Rock Band 2 was whether or not his instruments would work with it,
and
whether or not
the DLC, whatever that is. I'm not a gaming guy, so. But the answer is yes. The DLC will work, and existing instruments will work.
From Rock Band 1 will work with it.
And so he's really thrilled. That's it for the gaming section. Let's jump over to phones and mobility stuff. OpenMocal, I had a soft spot for them.
Did you?
But they took way too damn long to come out with the free runner. And when I saw the price tag of $399, I almost
serious.
I mean, for an open source phone, granted, it's got a 2.8-inch screen. It's touchscreen. It's got a resolution of 480 by 640. VJ. It's got Wi-Fi. But what I was really disappointed was in the price. It's an open source phone, so it shouldn't be that much.
It's pretty serious.
And especially when it's only it comes in two versions, either I believe
850 and 900.
or the 900, which is kind of crappy because it's a hit and miss for
the buyer.
For the band, for the quality of the bandwidth, and especially when it's got only 128 megabyte of ROM and then 256 NAND flash, which is a whole lot for a store application. Granted, Linux operating system doesn't take up that much space, but still, for $400, I want more, especially when the iPhone's only $199 or $299, blah blah blah.
You got to make a choice.
Exactly.
Make your choice to be pretty clear.
Exactly.
But that's going to be available on their website, and then also
they started taking pre-order July 4th. I want to say. Wait, was it yesterday? I can't remember.
I think so. Yes, yesterday,
Was
July
it yesterday?
4th, and they started taking orders, and so that'll be available on their website, and then also from vendors in European Union, North America, all that good stuff.
And so in other news, AT&T is rumored to have the Samsung Omnia, and the Omnia is basically an iPhone clone. It's got a nice large screen. It was announced at Communicasia this year, past month. I don't know if it's ever going to come because it's going to be really pricey.
Right.
I mean, it's doing really well right now in Korea. So well that we haven't even gotten a review unit in yet.
Oh, wow.
Because they're pulling the review unit to sell. So hopefully by mid-July we'll have something for you guys. I know you were pretty excited about the German supermarket.
I was
about that.
very interested in this whole idea of the people in Dusseldorf being able to scan the barcodes.
Where?
Dusseldorf.
You could say
Dusseldorf. I can say that. Some skills. Yeah, so they are able to download a program for their phones, and they can scan the barcode of what they're buying in the grocery store, put it in their basket, and then it creates a final barcode tallying all of their purchases, which they then scan at the door as they're walking out and pay.
Don't they kind of have that at Sam's already?
You
walk in, they give you a little barcode reader.
I don't see the difference between just doing a self-checkout and, I mean, you still have to scan your object, your price, your whatever you're buying.
But you're scanning as you go.
You're scanning as you go instead of scanning when you get to the end, which still means you have to scan and you still have to pay.
But so let's say I just bought this phone, I put it in my cart, I scan it once, I put it in. Then I go to my next object or package. Instead of
scan at the checkout, then you simply put these in your cart, walk to the checkout, scan them once, pay, and leave.
But you still have to take it out of your cart, scan it, put it back in.
But you didn't scan it the first time, so it's an equal number of scanning.
I think it's a great idea.
There's an equal number of scanning going on here.
But it's the whole process.
The major problem is that you could forget to scan your Cheez-Its, bury them underneath your waffles, and then as you leave, say, "Oh, I just forgot."
Or something.
I don't, you know. So now do you have to put a security device on your bread? I mean, what's the deal?
So the cost goes up.
I think this is a nifty little idea. I'm sure that they will develop this into something better.
Warehouse, they're doing such a. I mean, they're having
they just give you a little gun when you walk in.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But then again, they sell in bulk. Everything's massive.
Right.
You can't just run out of the store.
Right.
You know.
Well, I think it's interesting because then they're just encouraging you to have a more high-tech phone that's capable of scanning, and really, it sounds like it's made to encourage you to get on the technology bandwagon. I don't think that my 84-year-old grandmother would do well with trying to scan barcodes as she's checking out.
I don't think she can even install the application.
I don't think that she could figure out how to check the phone on. So, good luck to the people in Dusseldorf. Hope it works out for you.
Well, if you
let us know how it works out for you. If you're able to try it, we are curious.
Oh dear. So. Let's go ahead and switch gear over to SlashGear desktop PC and whatnot. I know I bitched about the MSI Win being late to market because of battery issues. I know Amazon is taking orders, and it's taking what, 3 to 5?
I think they are scheduled to ship out on the 7th. That's what they said.
It's 3 to 5 weeks before
you really
get it. Right?
So.
What are they doing?
And it's only coming with a 3-cell battery instead of a 6. So if you purchased it,
wouldn't you be
I would be a little upset if I purchased a 6-cell battery and it came with a 3.
I wonder what they're doing.
I wonder what they're doing to notify customers.
To replace it down the road.
And it's still $4.99. So that is a hefty price tag. It's $4.99 on Amazon, but it is less than that on the company website. So if you're looking to purchase it, skip the Amazon.
Right. But you can't even buy it on the website yet, can you?
No, well, they're listing it for a less expensive price, though. So if you have to wait 3 to 4, weeks, you might as well save.
That's kind of a long time.
$30.
At $500, $600 roughly. ASUS is coming out the EEE monitor. It's kind of misleading because it's really not a monitor. Yeah, it's got a more than processor. I mean, it sounds like it's just a monitor, but it's actually a computer all in one. It kind of
very sleek,
reminds me of like an iMac, if you will. You can check out SlashGear for all the specs. We're not going to bore you with all the nitty-gritty stuff.
I think it's a 19 by 21.
Is that?
I think it's.
That's not
looks
bad
good.
at all.
Looks good.
So the last section we're going to get into is close and dear to my heart.
Yes, your favorite. What I have to hear about every day. Yes.
So it's the iPhone 3G. Believe it or not, I was in line last year for almost 5 days, and there are crazier people this year who are already queuing up at the Fifth Avenue Apple Store.
7 days in advance.
Yes. And what's crazy is the first couple has a baby, an infant. Granted,
that child's gonna have to go to therapy.
Granted, that little baby, he won't remember anything after being cooked in the sun.
No.
But the parents did say the baby won't have to be there the whole time. And they're trying to break some silly record that they're going to have the longest wait time for a gadget. I mean, I thought I was nuts. But
they better get a Guinness Book of World Records out of this deal.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So I'll be out there. I'll talk to these folks, and granted, I won't be waiting in line this year, thank God. And so I know AT&T and Rogers released some price plan. Some of you who are not qualified for an upgrade to the iPhone 3G will have to pay, I believe, $399 for the 8 gig and $499 for the 16 gig, which is what we would have had to pay for anyway over the past year. But if you do qualify, make sure you log into your AT&T account management, see if you qualify. If you do, it's only $199 for the 8 gig or $299.
Save you some serious cash.
Save you some serious cash. But from what we understand, the iPhone 3G will go on sale at 8 o'clock Eastern time zone, is that right? Yeah, 8 o'clock next Friday. And you will have to activate in-store, which is going to take a little bit longer. So that's why a lot of people are queuing in. Exactly. But it is, I mean, they're promising us a 2-step activation process, so hopefully it'll go through a lot faster. But what you can do is check iPhone Buzz. We have a number of videos on there prepared by AT&T for you to be ready. It's kind of silly.
But, in advance.
They're saying, check your credit, make sure you have things set up. There is no benefit to switching over to AT&T in advance. So just get in there, you don't need to do that. Just make sure your account is up to date and whatnot. Switching over to Rogers for the iPhone 3G in Canada.
This really shows how lucky we are here.
Those people are just bend over.
They're paying
a lot,
like no other.
I mean, you're looking at what, from $60 for 150
only
minutes?
150 daytime minutes,
and you're only getting
75 text messages
and 400 megabyte of data transfer on 3G. Holy cow, that's
you can burn through that in a week
pretty quick. And then the high end, you're capped at 800 daytime minutes,
$115,
and it's 300 text messages, and you're capped at 2 gigabyte of data. That blows. And they're pretty upset. I can tell there's going to be a lot more. I wouldn't want to be in Canada.
Yeah. It's pretty rough. So
yeah. So next week we've got some cool stuff to play with, and of course I will be live on site in New York at the 5th Avenue store to bring coverage for the iPhone 3G, and of course we'll do some remote coverage from you here.
Right.
So with that, thanks for watching this week's SlashGear TV Week in Review Episode 2, and see you next week.
Bye-bye.